What is going on, Vikings fans? Welcome back to the Purple and Gold Bars Show. I'm your host, Supreme Overlord, aka Mr. AI Man 3000, aka Mr. Purple and Gold Bars, at your service. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe because I will be going live daily talking about all things Minnesota Vikings and every once in a while something fun or funny just to keep you guys smiling. All right, we're back at it. It's week 4. We need to go do our pick'ems. No, last week there were a couple games that ended up really twisting me up. I picked the Cardinals to upset the 49ers. I picked the Ravens to upset the Lions. I picked what was the other one? And the Texans. Texans and Packers also let me down. So, yeah. The first part of the year always comes down to this, like, I don't know. We need to get back to some preseason games, at least give the players some touches because everybody's rusty and these games are extremely hard to predict. But that's no here nor there. We can gripe about that a bunch of different ways. Hey, what's going on, buddy? Thank you for tuning in. We are going to get right into it here, and we're going to get with our picks. So last week I ended up getting 10 on the season. We're at 28 out of 46, if I'm not mistaken, rocking, moving up from like a 54% up to like a 58%. So we're getting closer to that 65% accuracy that I usually do. Now, this is around the time where with my weekly pick 'em at the bar, I usually start refraining from picking teams or games just on heart and just what I wish to happen. So we're gonna be dialing it up a little bit, going more so on the probabilities instead of the possibilities, just like we like to do on this channel. But let's get into it. Let's pick these games and let's see. So these are last week's. Let's go to week 4, and we have a divisional matchup to start the week. On Thursday Night Football, we got the Seahawks and Sam Darnold, one of my favorite quarterbacks, going up against Kyler Murray and those Cardinals. Now, 49ers and Cardinals was one heck of a divisional defensive, or maybe, I don't know, you could say dysfunctional type of game. So there might be a little bit of that this week. I'm not entirely sure, but what I do know is that divisional games can be tricky to pick. Regardless of that, I am not going to be picking against the Seattle Seahawks anytime soon. The way that Sam Darnold has been playing this year and the way these guys have bounced back and faced adversity, I'm loving what I see in Seattle. So give me the Seahawks in a 10-point win. Let's go 10-point win. Low scoring, but it's still going to be a 10-point win for the Seahawks. Mark my words. Then we're moving on to the game of the week for us Minnesota Vikings. This is really the only game that matters, to be honest. And we got a heck of a matchup to experience here. We got Carson Wentz and our fighting Minnesota Vikings going in to Dublin, our first international game of the season, going up against the boogeyman, or maybe not so much the boogeyman anymore, but Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's be real. Now, this game is extremely hard to predict. We have two elite defenses squaring off. Who's going to create the more turnovers? Who's going to create the most looks, the most discomfort for the other team's quarterback, right? So I would love to say that we're going to go ahead and blow out these Pittsburgh Steelers because that's how much faith I have in this team and how much I love this team. But on this channel, we always try to remain as objective as possible. We always try to focus on the probabilities instead of possibilities, because I don't know about you. I'm not the type of guy to walk in and put like $1,000 on 13 on the roulette wheel just because I have a feeling. right? Just because the chances are it could hit. No, no, no. I like to look at the board, see what's going on, and make as best of an informed decision as I can. Now, with all that being said, um, I think there's going to be a good amount of maybe like jet lag or whatnot. We've seen historically over the last few years teams coming in and sometimes it's taking a half or more for things to kind of roll in. Luckily, our Minnesota Vikings have a good template for how they travel. I know we're leaving tomorrow after practice, after dinner. They're going to be hopping on a plane, sleeping on the plane, and getting to Dublin, trying to get acclimated as soon as possible. So far, our approach has led us to being undefeated overseas, but I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment here. This is really going to come down to the turnover battle, because I don't imagine either team just like looking like world beaters. I feel like both defenses are going to be making a statement this week. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that hasn't played to the level that we saw them last year. Last year, let's be real. Those that Pittsburgh Steelers defense was something to marvel at, and it was something to fear. Now, this year is coming out. They're a little bit rusty or coming out of the gate slow, but that doesn't take away from the talent and the ability that they have. They have a great coach, and he always does a great job of building a solid game plan and putting his team in position to win. Vice versa, we can say the same thing for Kevin O'Connell. After going into this fourth year with him, we have he's gotten more wins by a lot than losses, and he has proven that even with Josh Dobbs coming in at the last minute, he is able to build game plans to help his team succeed. That's why I'm expecting it to be a well-fought game. Now, I am not entirely sure who's going to win, and I know I gave my way too early kind of optimistic prediction. I gave a prediction of 34-27 for these Vikings. Now, as things have simmered in and as I've started to look at what these Pittsburgh Steelers have done this year, I am understanding that it's going to be a lower scoring game. It's going to play The second half is going to play a massive factor this game. Now, last year when we faced Aaron Rodgers, he was on the Jets, and he gave us a run for our money in the second half. As a result, a lot of those second halves, including that one, a lot of fans, including myself, were concerned at how Brian Flores approached the second half, as well as adjusted after getting punched in the mouth. Now, this year, a lot of has come out regarding the effect of Brian Flores, right? For example, after week one, the Bears organization definitely let it out that they were confused at the lack of pressure and blitzes that Brian Flores sent in the first half. And then in the second half, he dialed it up. He came in with a whole different game plan and completely turned things upside down. So my comfort level on Brian Flores to have developed some concepts or has spent a good amount of time theory crafting how he's going to approach these second halves in these specific situations. I have full confidence in him. With all that being said, I think it's going to come down to the turnover battle. It can literally go either way. I don't imagine a ton of penalties in general, turnovers in general. I'm gambling and saying anywhere between 1 and 3 in the entire game amongst both teams. I think we're going to see a clean and defensive game, and we're going to see what it's like to have a veteran quarterback do what it takes on both sides once that type of defensive pressure is put out there. Now, I would love, man, I really want to say, yeah, we're going to blow these guys out. We're going to beat the brakes off them, like my main man Mike says. But I have to be realistic and have to give credit where credit is due. I think we have a slight edge coming into the game just on momentum and belief that we got going on here. I feel like in the whole, our team is going to be coming out hungry and looking to make a statement, exactly like these Steelers have. But I just have a feeling that uh, we do just a little bit more right now. Ideally, what I would love to see is KOC go to our run game and really hammer the Steelers' run defense and really put it on notice that they're going to have to shut down Jordan Mason before they do anything else, before they focus on anything else. Because if we're able to effectively run the ball, we can keep Aaron Rodgers and that offense off the field, limiting their ability or their chances to put up points. And at that point, that gives our backup quarterback, Mr. Carson Wentz, more opportunities, more drives. So therefore, more drives, more chances that we can kick some field goals and get some tight and some touchdowns in order to squeak it out. Now, with that being said, I think it's going to be a close game. I think we're looking at something like a 24-20, 21-17, something like that. I'm going to hedge my bets and I'm going to say Vikings in a 3-point win. I just I I just feel like when we look at these probability sake, I feel like the Vikings might have like a 52-53% chance when it comes to probabilities, not possibilities. I know if we include possibilities, we can increase that a lot higher. But, and then when we look at the Steelers, their probabilities, I feel like they're sitting in that like 49, 50, 51. So just a smidgen behind our chances if my intuition and my ability to count probabilities is spot on. That's why I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings on a 3-point defensive outing in Dublin. Next, we got the Washington Commanders facing the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. I am not sure if Kirk Cousins is starting or if they're going to throw the reins and throw the rook back in there and see what he can do. Well, he's not a rook; he's a second-year guy now. But anyways, I'm not sure if they're rolling with Penix or I haven't seen any news come out yet. But I'm going to assume that they're going to stick with Michael Penix and kind of give him the benefit of the doubt and let him try to play himself out of this situation. I think that would be a great opportunity for him to kind of regain his composure and start to do something. Unfortunately, they got the Washington Commanders that even though they had their backup quarterback last week in there, they were able to dominate, which kind of speaks to their talent level and what they are as a team. As a result, I feel like the Washington Commanders, when it comes to development, when it comes to consistency, when it comes to their ability to win football games, these Washington Commanders are at least a year or two ahead of where these Falcons are. These Falcons could be 1 year away from throwing it all away and rebuilding all over the place. So I'm going to take the Washington Commanders in a dominant win by 2 touchdowns, not a 10-point game, a 2-touchdown lead. I think they're going to do a great job in the early half, and they're going to come away with an early lead. And regardless of what happens in Atlanta, they should be able to take control of this middling bottom feeder team that we threw a win to. So, you know what I mean? There it is. Hey, Mr. Mike. I definitely will talk that talk, brother. Thank you for joining me today. Now we're going to move on to the next 1 p.m. window. We got the New Orleans Saints versus the Buffalo Bills. I think a lot of people would say this might be the easiest game to pick of the week. You know what? And I'm going to lean on that sentiment as well, but I still have a lot of respect for Alvin Kamara. I actually like at what I'm seeing for Spencer Rattler. Now, I'm not saying that Spencer Rattler one day is going to be the second coming of who's a quarterback that struggled early and became good later. I don't know. Whatever quarterback that you want to throw in there, I don't think he's going to be that guy that's going to all of a sudden come, 1 or 2 or 3 years into it, all of a sudden elevate to franchise levels or MVP caliber. but I think he has the potential of being a serviceable quarterback, a quarterback that can bring stability. And once he's gotten to that point, of course, bring stability to a young team. And maybe I can see him bouncing around to a lot of these bottom feeder teams that are looking to bring a young but experienced quarterback to kind of bring some consistency, or to kind of wash away some of the pressure or the hype or the negative hype against their quarterback situation. So I see over his career Spencer Rattler being that type of quarterback. But unfortunately, they are going up against Superman and these Buffalo Bills. I love Keon Coleman. He is an incredible, incredible dude with a heart of gold and an incredible role model to young players nationwide, worldwide. Whoever's watching, this kid is infectious. And it just sucks that these New Orleans Saints are coming in and facing such a dominant Buffalo Bills team. Give me the Bills in a big win. I'm not gonna throw shade towards New Orleans. Alvin Kamara could still do something and come out there and put up a decent, respectable amount of points, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop good old Josh Allen and that freight train that is continuing to build momentum this year. Now let's move on. We got the Cleveland Browns coming into Ford Field against the Detroit Lions. We don't know if Gibson, or what's the quarterback ahead of Shador. I'm not sure if they're gonna start Flacco or bring him in, or even let Shador do something out there. But what I do know is that they have a generational defensive player in Myles Garrett. I've done a little bit of of research on this man. This man impacts how defenses game plan and call their plays. He is one of the few defensive players in this league where everything is built, the whole game plan is built around what is he doing. So that impact cannot be understated, and I think we found out last week how much that was when he was able to help keep those Browns in the game long enough to allow them to put away those Green Bay Packers. But on the other side, we have generational talents. We have teammates that have been playing together for a long time. They do have a bunch of new when it comes to their offensive coordinator as well as the defensive coordinator. That's why we saw some rust in game one, a little bit of discombobulation. But that game against Ben Johnson, I think, really honed their focus, their drive, because it seems like after that game, we've seen a lot less penalties and careless self-inflicted mistakes coming out of Detroit. So even with all that being said, I can't in good conscience pick the Cleveland Browns ever. I just can't do it, guys. It's not in me, even though I am not a Detroit Lions fan. And you can even classify me as a hater, if you will. But I am definitely going to pick these Detroit Lions in a defensive outing of the ages. And we're going to see a lot of running out of Sonic and Knuckles this week. I imagine an easy 10-point win for these Detroit Lions. Now, the next game of the week. Now, this one's going to be extremely hard to pick. Let's be real, guys. You know what? I really like Cam Ward, and I'm as much as he struggled, I still see the little things that he does well, and I still have a lot of hope for Cam. I've seen a lot of people say that, you know what, I'm ready to just write off and just give Cam Ward the benefit of the doubt because of the situation that he is in and the offensive coordinator and coaching situation that he has. Because let's be real, the way that it's going, he may have a different coach before the trade deadline, and most likely going to have a different coach and offensive coordinator going into next year. Now we got the Houston Texans struggling mightily after CJ Stroud's sophomore slump. It seems like it's extending into year 3. I definitely was surprised at the upset loss last week to Trevor Lawrence and those Jags. I wholeheartedly thought that was going to be a tune-up game, and we were going to see some progression towards their mean, right? They've definitely regressed to the mean and below now. So now it's time to see what this young, talented crew can do when facing all this adversity. Now, there has been a ton of videos out going deep diving into what is wrong with CJ Stroud and his inability to read defenses pre-snap and make good decisions post-snap. He's uh, sticking onto his primary read way too long and is telegraphing everything with his eyes, something that we didn't see in year one and we didn't think would become a problem, but it's rearing its head now. Now, with all that being said, oh man, this is an extremely hard one to pick, eh? Holy guacamole. I'm going to go ahead and pick the, oh man. Like, like my internal computer right now is literally keeps giving me like 404 requests. Like we don't know what to do, man. Like I can't even logically think. My goodness. Okay. Let's go. Let's bank on this Texans defense. We know what Daniil Hunter can do. He can wreck games. Hopefully, this defense can come away with excellent defensive outing, and maybe they can win it kicking field goals. I don't know. Let's give me the Houston Texans in a snoozer. 12-9. Let's go with that. 12-9. And wow, what a game that's gonna be, guys. All right, and now we got the new look Carolina Panthers going up against the new look New England Patriots. It is no secret that I have a soft spot for the New England Patriots because my brother-in-law is a Patriots fan. So if they win, then I know that it's all happy and smiles in my sister's house. So I would love to instantly pick the New England Patriots here, but we can't ignore how well Carolina bounced back after those first two games. I thought straight up, I was like, wow, when are we gonna see this quarterback switch and then Bryce come back in the second half of the season and look like he did last year? It's incredible to see that he was able to turn things around. I'm not saying he played perfect or he's back to being a top tier quarterback, but he did much better than he did in those first 2 weeks. Now we got Drake May and those New England Patriots, those new look Patriots with Mike Vrabel. I wholeheartedly think that he's going to transform this team. It may not look record wise like it's been a massive change, but I do feel that when you look at them at the end of the season, your eye test will say this is a very much improved team, and Mike Vrabel is going to be the reason for that. That's why I have him as my front runner for Coach of the Year, because I expect a lot from Mr. Vrabel. But this game is going to be close. It's in New England. I'm going to expect that as a result of the traveling and that anxiety that's going to build when you're not playing at home. I think Carolina kind of cools off a little bit. I feel like this is going to be a closer game than anybody's going to give any credit. Chuba Hubbard can actually run the ball. I've drafted him a few times in fantasy, and he's always done well for me. But I'm going to take the New England Patriots in a 3-point win. Give me a old 20-17 coming out of New England. Next thing, we got the game that's going to shock the world because we're expecting to see, I don't know, fireworks out of these New York Giants after maybe the benching of Russell Wilson might be the thing that lights a fire under their ass. So I'm hoping to see a lot of great things out of this game, regardless of who wins. I'm extremely impressed at what Jim Harbaugh has done with these Los Angeles Chargers, the consistency, the culture change. Things like that we don't see change immediately after 1 year. We usually, in my experience and from what I can remember, it usually takes 1 to 3 years for that cultural switch to take hold. And Jim Harbaugh, he has done a phenomenal job there. Now, Frank Dable is definitely, is it Frank Dable? Dable is definitely on the hot seat, and this game is going to tell a lot about his ability to make decisions. Because if Jackson Dart goes out there and he gets destroyed and looks even worse than Russ, they're going to look to crucify him for making a stupid decision and saying, hey, why didn't you have the presence of mind as a coach to tell us fans that we don't know what we're talking about? Russell Wilson is much better option, or even Jameis Winston. Like, don't they have Jameis Winston? Like, go to him. Like, you know what I mean? They're gonna crucify this man if this boy gets lit up. But I still think it's gonna be a fun game. The Chargers, I think Najee Harris is out for the season, so that might impact their ability to run the ball. Austin Eckler is also out, so there might be a little bit of weakness coming out of these Chargers. But I do not want to bet against these Los Angeles Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. Give me the Chargers in a closer game that anybody wants to give, in a higher scoring game that people are they're gonna expect, because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, 17-14. Give me the LA Chargers 27-21. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Let's go, Big Blue. I know you guys got the talent. You guys remind me of what it was like for us Minnesota Vikings when we kind of accumulated all the raw talent, but we had nothing to kind of build that teamwork, that consistency. So I still believe that you guys have the raw talent to make a splash and turn some heads this year. So let's go, Big Blue. I have faith that you guys are on the right path, even though it looks pretty dark right now. And here we go. Wow, this game is going to be a banger, ladies and gentlemen. We got the Philadelphia Eagles going into Tampa Bay, facing a stout Baker Mayfield and defense and team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coming up against the reigning Super Bowl champions, one of the best rosters in football, a generational talent at running back. Man, Jalen Hurts has struggled a little bit. Yeah, we all know, we all heard -4 yards or whatever, a 1 yard passing, whatever it was in last week's game. But you know what? Super Bowl champions do exactly what they do. Teams that have that kind of skill set and are front runners, Super Bowl contenders, whatever you want to put, whatever label you want, find ways to win games like that, especially after a talented LA Rams team came in and punched them in the mouth. I'm extremely impressed at what I saw in the second half by these Eagles. Now, I think it's going to be a lot closer game. I think it's going to come down to whoever. Oh, it's going to be a heck of a. Well, this is the most cliche statement, but I think it's going to come down to whoever gets ball last. If it's these Eagles, we know what they can do with the tush push and in short yardage situations. It's very difficult to get them off of the field in late when it matters, late in games. But we have also seen, if Baker Mayfield gets a hold of the ball with just enough time left, this man can cook, and he has the drive of a winner, and anything can happen in those final 2 minutes of the game. I don't anticipate either team looking bad. I feel like Philadelphia is going to bounce back and remind everybody why they are the reigning Super Bowl champions. They're going to have I feel like we're going to see a complete football game from both the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is going to be a wild one, guys. I feel like this is going to be a big scoring game. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles in a 7-point win, 47-40. It's going to be a big one, guys. It's going to be a classic. This game is going to go down as an instant classic, because that's what happens when you put these two types of team together. Fireworks ensue. It's going to be a good one. Don't miss this one, guys. I'm telling you, do not, even if you're not a Philly or Tampa Bay fan, don't miss out on this game. It's going to be a wild one. And now we got Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark coming in to Los Angeles and playing Matt Stafford and those Rams that refuse to go away. These guys, their run defense, their pass rush is on another level. We saw how much havoc they ran on the Super Bowl champions last week. Now, this is good. They got home field advantage. Now, A lot of people are gonna bank on Indianapolis because of the incredible things they have done in the first 3 weeks. But this is the type of uh, catch game or trap game, that, if you will, when you're coming in with the most uh, confidence in the world. Jonathan Taylor is going to do a lot of things well, and he's going to be putting up a bunch of yards. But I feel like this pass rush is going to put a big wrench in Indianapolis offense, and as a result, is going to lead to them having fewer drives to put points up in comparison to these LA Rams. Time of possession, I feel, is going to go towards the more veteran team here, and I'm going to bank on Sean McVay and these LA Rams. Give me the Rams 24-17 in a wild game in Los Angeles. Next, we got the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. We got Mac Jones, if I'm not mistaken, coming in trying to continue their undefeated streak. And then we got Trevor Lawrence trying to remind everybody that he used to be the heir apparent, the guy with the golden locks that was supposed to be the one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he's going to be he's fighting for that relevance again and to prove people wrong. They're a flawed team. Let's call a spade a spade. They have their weaknesses, but they also have their strengths. They can put up points, and they can also let a bunch of points happen. San Francisco, on the other hand, they're really banged up. We got Mac Jones starting. We got a ton of injuries on the line, but they also have Sean McVay. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers in this game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think the defense is going to play a massive factor for San Francisco. Fred Warner is going to have another one of those highlight plays because this is the type of team that he shows out against. So with all that being said, I think they win the turnover battle, and I think they win a decisive win, 24-12, San Francisco. Woo! Good gravy. Let's move on. We got the game that would have been circled off before the season, and last year would have been a massive game. The year before, the Baltimore Ravens going up against their arch nemesis, the Kansas City Chiefs. It is well documented that these Chiefs seem to have the Baltimore Ravens number. A lot of people say that their defense and their roster is built uniquely to be able to handle all the strengths that Baltimore brings to the table. But things have changed over the last couple of years. Kansas City is looking more and more beatable. Their superstar talent that elevates Spag's ability to cook up game plans are getting older, and they're not as reliable as they once were, but they are still a dangerous team. The Baltimore Ravens have a really bad taste in their mouth after fumbling another game away, a game that, in my opinion, should have been theirs for the taking. So they are going to be looking to come and shut some mouths up, especially if they can finally convincingly beat these Kansas City Chiefs, because we all know or classify these Chiefs to be Lamar's kryptonite, right? So with all that being said, I think it's going to be a good game. We're going to see a lot of ups and downs. We're going to see some struggling on both sides. But I'm still going to pick these Baltimore Ravens in a close matchup, 27-24 for these Baltimore Ravens on that walk-off field goal for the win. Next, we got the Chicago Bears traveling to Las Vegas. Sin City is going to be banging this week because it always is, let's be real. But Chicago's coming in. They're trying to bear down and look and show everybody that they have more than any one of us want to give them credit. We got Geno Smith and the Las Vegas Raiders. They are struggling, but you know what? That is something to be expected from a team that's got a whole bunch of talent and not a lot of experience together and still working on that continuity. We saw in week 1, they looked like world beaters, and then they've been up and down ever since. Now, the Chicago Bears defense is a good defense. We found out about it last year in general as football fans. they were one of the best defenses in the league. Now, if they can bank on that and really put the pressure on Geno Smith, I think they will easily be able to take control of this game early. And then as long as we don't see any regression in the second half from Caleb Williams, trying to go back to the old things and just sticks to what Ben Johnson wants to do, I think this should be an easy win for the Chicago Bears. I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring game than people will give credit, but I still think these Bears beat them 34-21 in a heck of a game for these Chicago Bears. Next, we got the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers going out to Dallas to face America's team. Dak Prescott and this dumpster fire of a team is what it is. They are who we think they are. They have done a great job over the past 5, 6, 7 years to hide the fact that they're a raging dumpster fire, and they just don't know how to put it out. So, Green Bay, this is a very much a get-right game after a weird ending. You know what? I keep calling, you know what? I'm going to toot my horn a little bit here. I've been saying that the major reason why I don't believe, or I'm still waiting for more out of Jordan Love before I can crown him a top-tier quarterback, is the fact that late in games, on third down, he throws interceptions. He throws interceptions off the back foot into double coverage. The gunslinger sometimes doesn't help him, and I still need to see some maturity out of him. But thank goodness they're going into Dallas. Now, Dallas is definitely going to try to give them a run for their money, but without CeeDee Lamb, I just don't see how they can put any more than like 14 points up. But I do see the Green Bay Packers being able to put easily 24 plus on them. So give me the Green Bay Packers in a one-sided game, despite the history and despite them having struggled in the past against them, against the Cowboys. I'm still taking this Green Bay Packers team on Sunday Night Football. Next, we have, this is a coin flip if I've ever seen it, ladies and gentlemen. We got the New York Jets traveling to Miami. Mr. McDaniels is on the hot seat. We got the new look Jets coming in. They are, you know what? Say what you want to say about these New York Jets. They look a lot better than I anticipated. Justin Fields looked a lot better before he got injured. Tyrod Taylor looked good last week as well. Unfortunately, Jets do Jets things and they lose games, but the same thing can be said about these Miami Dolphins, right? So who is going to make the least amount of mistakes this week? I cannot in good consciousness pick the New York Jets not to be the team to make the least amount of mistakes in here. I think that's going to be a big factor. Give me the Miami the Dolphins in a one-sided affair, 17-6. Woo, that's going to be a snoozer. Thank goodness at an hour later, we got the Bengals versus the Broncos. I know it's not that much better quality game here, but we're going to see what these Denver Broncos are made of. They're at home. They're coming off a tough loss. Bo Nix, the rankings just came out. He's, I think, the worst performing quarterback after 3 weeks. Now, I think Bo Nix is going to develop into a really good starting quarterback in this NFL. He's just going through his sophomore slump. Things happen once the tape is out. People start to try to capitalize on those things. And I know there's a lot been said in his ability to, with accuracy on the deep ball. And with all that being said, they still have a really, really good defense that I think can bail them out. And we saw that this Bengals team does not have a good defense, and it's a perfect situation for Bo Nix to really get right, regain some of that confidence and that momentum that he had worked so hard to build last year. Now, Jake Browning, let's not freaking get it twisted. This guy could throw for 350, 400 yards. He is a gunslinger, but along with those yards, you can see anywhere between 1 to 3 interceptions out of the man. So even though the Cincinnati Bengals will look much better this week in comparison to last week, give me the Denver Broncos in a defensive outing, 17-10. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Denver those are the picks for the week. I will definitely go ahead and write these down and make sure we stay on top of it. And let me get caught up here with the chat. Holy crap, there's 10 of you here. Hey, salute, welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me today on the show. Incredible, guys, incredible. Let's see here. Ooh, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of this haircut? Just got back from the barber before the live. That's what took me a little bit to get back in here, but yeah, not bad at all. So the next thing that I want to talk about, I think I went a little bit too in depth when it came to the Minnesota Vikings versus the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Now let's dive in a little bit deeper when it comes to this game that's coming up. Now, I think it would be a fool's errand to take what we've seen, the small sample size from these Pittsburgh Steelers after 3 weeks, and judge them by that. Because like I've been harping all week, sample size matters. And if you data mine a small sample size, you will be made to look a fool. Because when you have such a small sample size, the data is skewed in things that would come up that wouldn't in a higher sample size. What do you think when we see? Why do you think that when we see these stats flashed up when we're watching games that it says this is the highest quarterback rating out of a quarterback in X amount, and it says in brackets minimum 20 starts? It's because if we remove that minimum 20 starts, you get guys that are one-hit wonders or maybe one-game wonders showing up on that list, because the sample size is a massive factor in order to understand trends and really get to the truth of what the data is telling you. So I don't want to base my judgments on what they have done these first 3 weeks. I want to look at their entirety of what they were able to do last year. I know they don't. I know Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback now, and Russell Wilson is over in New York. But what's the area that I'm most concerned with is their defense, because that's what's going to give us the hardest challenge to overcome. And when we look at what they did last year, they are an extremely, extremely talented defense that rivals our own. And so I think it's going to be an incredible test for our Minnesota Vikings. This literally can go down anyway. Like I said earlier, when I think of the probability, I feel like the Vikings have like a 51 to maybe like 53% chance of winning this, probability wise. And then when we look at the Steelers, they got like a 49 to like 48 to like 51%. So extremely, extremely close margins that are too close to bank any bet on, which is why this is such a difficult game to predict. Now, Aaron Rodgers, he has looked like Aaron Rodgers of old. And like I've said a bunch of times, he's also looked like old man Rodgers. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because of what he's able to do, has been able to do in the league, and because he is now that wily veteran that can steal some wins, even though he can't steal those plays and situations like he used to in his early days, right? So that experience is still something to worry about. That's why, honestly, I wouldn't be upset if anybody picked the Steelers in a close game. Just like I'm not I'm not upset at people picking the Vikings in a close one as well. So that is my intuition when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings versus the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. But yeah, now let us talk about the elephant in the room. Where is he? Where is he? Where's that picture? I need a picture to put up here. There he is. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the JJ McCarthy situation. Now, a lot of people are saying that let's just ride with Carson Wentz Let's see what we can do. Let's try to make a Super Bowl run out of it. And essentially, what you're really saying is let's just bank on the possibility that we might be able to pull off a Cinderella run, right? I'm I don't know about you, but I'm not the type of guy to just walk into the casino and put freaking $1,000 on 26 because I have a hunch, because it's possible that that could hit on the roulette table, right? I'd like to look at what's come before and try to make a best informed decision on what's going on. And unfortunately, the sample size with JJ McCarthy is just too small to really draw any valuable information out of what's going on right now. I've I've definitely been on record of saying this is his first year, so all we should be expecting are flashes and a whole crap ton of growing pains. It sucks to hear because we are such a talented roster with great coaching, and like we saw last year, we can take just about anybody and make a decent push for the playoffs. And depending on the quarterback, we might even be able to make a deep playoff run. Unfortunately, I don't think that quarterback is on this team as well as Carson Wentz performed last week. Football changes when we get into the playoffs. Okay. Just like when people like to bank on, old teams in the NBA that are making, that are doing good in the regular season. I always like to say, man, it's just going to take a young team to run this team up and down the floor and just gas them out and just take over. NBA playoff basketball is different than regular season basketball, and the same is true for NFL football. The defenses that you're going to see outside of those flawed wild card teams that are also wanting and hoping and praying on a Cinderella run, outside of those guys, I don't know if Carson Wentz can handle that type of adversity. Let's be real. We saw what happened in the playoffs last year when we got into that atmosphere. Sam Darnold looked like a world beater in the season. And once that pressure or that different level of playoff football came, he reverted a little bit. Maybe that anxiety got the better of him. Whatever it was, the adversity was just too much. And that's from a guy that still has the ability to scramble and run out of the pocket. Now we got Carson Wentz that isn't as mobile. We saw last week with all the sacks that he took when he tried to scramble, he just could not create that opportunity that other young quarterbacks that have fresh young legs, right? I personally feel like we're gonna see these next few defenses really highlight to us what it's going to be like for Carson Wentz in the playoffs. That's not to say that the possibility that we could get lucky and miss the right, or not have to play the right teams and the right things happen at the right times. Hey, you know what? I have seen that happen. I'm a Toronto Raptors fan. My only Raptors championship came because KD got injured, Clay got injured, and we took advantage of a beat up Golden State team. Now, that's not always going to happen for teams. Teams aren't going to fall apart, and the path is not just going to open up. It's actually going to be a lot harder. And that's why I think it would be a fool's errand to bank on that situation going forward. I get it. We want to win now as fans in general. We are the most impatient than we have ever been. And that just comes from a byproduct of what we've seen other teams do on rookie scale contracts, the teams that have been able to build, the Super Bowl runs that they've been able to go on. So I am not lost into why people feel like that, but I feel like if we take that route, we are basically setting ourselves up to have the exact same situation next year, where because JJ didn't get the reps and he wasn't able to develop, or maybe he loses confidence too much, we're going to see the carousel come back, and whoever we bring in to back him up is going to be the guy that's going to be taking turns with JJ at the end of the season. We're going to be in the exact same situation where we get bounced out if we make the playoffs or we just barely miss it. And then what happens? People are going to get fired. JJ McCarthy is going to get dealt, and we're going to be looking to pick up. We're going to be back in the situation that we were when we traded for Kirk Cousins. And I don't know about you, I don't exactly want to do the Toronto Maple Leafs strategy of just picking up veterans that might still have a year or two left and hoping that everything falls into place. I just don't want to see that. And I don't want to see us 2 years down the road looking back and saying, wow, we don't have JJ. We fired KOC. B-Flow went somewhere else. And now we are in shambles. And we should have just let the kid sink or swim and then decide in the offseason. That's my 2 cents when it comes to JJ McCarthy and the situation that we have. Like I said, I do not care if when he comes back, if he plays out the rest of the season and we lose every single game, because all those reps and all that experience is going to be far more valuable than any mediocre playoff run that we can have. I don't know about you. I don't want to get my hopes up and start thinking, oh my God, we got MVP Carson Wentz. This is it. We're going to do it, just to get humiliated in a divisional game or even worse in a wild card game and come crashing back down to reality. I don't want to see us set up for that downfall and another heartbreak. We've already kept our composure and didn't sign Sam Darnold, right? We committed to the process. Now, it would be idiotic 3 weeks into the season to give up on something that we have been preparing for the better part of 4 years. So, guys, have some patience. It's always the what do they say about the storm? The storms are always the wildest before the calm, right? Before the end, right? Or whatever the saying is. Let's just have a little faith and let's just see. And let's not sacrifice 1, 2, or 3 years because of our impatience. Let's just keep on the process. Let's see what it goes. I personally think that when JJ McCarthy comes back, he will show more than enough flashes and development to shut the naysayers up and say, you know what? Let the kid go. He's doing a lot of good things. It's just a matter of time before things click and he starts banging on all cylinders. Next year is when I expect, if he's given the opportunity to develop and play and get as many reps as he can, that's when I expect him to take a massive leap and show everybody why we drafted him so high. So, all right. So now let's move on, guys. I want to talk about, I guess we transition to that into predicting the future with Carson Wentz. I want to talk about what that looks like. And I kind of want to have a little bit of a cheeky moment and pull up the lowlights of Sam Darnold in the playoff game last year. But then I changed my mind because I don't want to put you guys through that. And reminisce on that terrible loss where we had so much confidence thinking that we could overcome. But yeah, I anticipate something very similar if we decide to shit the bed and go with Carson Wentz. I see us maybe winning 10 games and sneaking into the playoffs and getting embarrassed once everybody capitalizes on the weaknesses that Carson Wentz has. Let's be real and honest about the fact that Carson Wentz is very far removed from his MVP caliber season, and there's a reason why he has bounced around from team to team to team. There are weaknesses that he has that teams are not willing to deal with, right? He has a tendency to hold onto the ball too long. He forces things. He likes to force passes, right? And he can be injury prone. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, and let's have some patience and some resolve, guys. Trust me when I say this, you will be much happier if we just experience the JJ McCarthy experience this year and move on into next year than having this constant doubt surrounding what our future really can be. All right. The next thing, what was else that I wanted to talk to you guys about? Let's see here. What did I put down? I forget. But anyways, let's talk about. Let's check in with the chat. We got Mike Sports Vibes. Samuel's in the building. We got Trevor in there. He says Jordan Addison legacy game tomorrow. JJ gonna have Ramsey all over him, and freaking Jordan Addison is going to have fresh legs. Yes, Jordan Addison could very much well be the difference maker in this game. I remember last year when a lot of people didn't give us any credit having San Francisco coming in off on that, what was it, like 4 or 5 game winning streak, and they had their chest puffed up. And I remember Jordan Addison made them pay. The man runs a great route. He's got great intuition and he's got great hands. Not to mention that the bulk of the highlights that we saw this offseason were between JJ and Jordan Addison, right? So I know JJ's not going to be there throwing him the ball, but that skill set that we saw from him on his side is now going to be out on the field. So I wholeheartedly think that I think the X factor still is going to be Jordan Mason. I feel like if we really lean hard on the run, we're going to limit the amount of offensive drives that these Steelers are going to have, and it's going to be an easier time for Carson because he'll just have more opportunities to make something happen. Maybe we beat them just kicking field goals and the odd touchdown just because we have more opportunities to put points up than they do. But that's not to say anything lightly about these Pittsburgh Steelers because they are a good roster with a great coach. So that is definitely something to be weary of. Anything else? Let me think, boys, because we got about 20 minutes before the NFC North roundtable begins. So I definitely want to make it there because last week, I don't even know. I totally brain farted because I didn't put an alarm in or something, or I forgot to hit the notification. I just went live and just went and did my own thing, and I forgot. It was at the very end. I was like, oh, no, the NFC North roundtable. So today, that's why we started a little bit earlier, and I want to make sure that I'm there to shit talk all these fans and let them know what it is. You know what I mean? So join me on the NFC North roundtable in the chat so we can have some fun with these Packers, Bears, and Lions fans, right? Now, what can we talk about? Oh, there was a clip I saw that I wanted to react to. Hold on. It was from Mr. Julian, his sports channel, but it was essentially Dan Orlovsky talking about the quarterback controversy on our end. And I wanted to just kind of let Julian kind of give his perspective because I hadn't heard it before, but it kind of ended up echoing a lot of the things that I've been saying. So I was like, oh, maybe I am not, maybe I do have a little bit of, intuition, or maybe I've been watching football long enough to be able to make some decent assessments because it's clear that he's well more versed on the X's and O's, and to see somebody else kind of echoing the same things that I say with like in KOC we trust. So I wanted to find that, but I can't seem to find. That's all right. We'll do something. We'll do that another time. I'm going to come back after the NFC North roundtable. After that, we're going to be doing the power rankings tonight. And then hopefully I'll find some clips. We'll do a little bit of hot take review, laughing at some of these situations that are going on in the mainstream media. Some of these laughable takes. Oh, yeah. That's another clip I saw yesterday. Stephen A's top 5 list. Oh, guys, we're gonna have some fun with hot take review a little bit later. But if there are any other questions before I let me go, let me know in the chat here. Other than that, if not, I do appreciate you guys for joining in. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I will be going live daily, ranting, talking that talk, just like Mr. Mike Sports Vibes like to say. about this Minnesota Vikings team, giving you some outside of the box thinking, some wild speculation, and some color commentary, as well as some fun things to maybe hopefully make you smile. Hey, if you haven't had a chance, check out yesterday's Emergency Live. I know it was a heavy topic. I know there was a lot of serious things, discussions had during that live. So if you haven't checked that live out, go back and check out the Emergency Live that I had last year or yesterday afternoon, not last year, because it's going to be something that I think you guys will enjoy despite all the heavy topics. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I love every single one of you. I do not care what team you follow, what franchise you call your team. I love you nonetheless. Don't mind the trolling, the trash talking. It's all in good fun. At the very end, I only want the best for your team and our team, and I don't want to see any injuries. Come on, guys. Can we stop with the gosh darn injuries, man? Sometimes I can't even turn my head fast enough before I see some of this stuff. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me on the Purple and Gold Bars show. I'm your host, Supreme, aka Mr. AI Man 3000, Mr. Purple and Gold Bars at your service, guys. Have a great one, and I'll see you in about 2 hours or so, depending on how long the NFC North roundtable lasts. Cheers, guys, and Skol Vikings.